Hi there, everyone. I wanted to go through some of the funk, soul, R&B, early disco, and Motown records in my collection since I have some nice examples of those genres. So without further ado, let's just get started. We're starting right here with the godfather of soul, or the father of soul, what I forget exactly. I think it's the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown. I mean, James Brown was one of the greatest performing and recording artists of the United States, and influenced a lot of people, including guys like Mick Jagger and stuff, but as well as so many other funk and disco genres after him. He was just really a very, very, very important artist. And so this is his record, Hot Pants. And this record really freaking grooves, you know. But I'll show you the back of it, although it's a little bit risque. So if you have some children in the room, you might want to tell them to leave, and then they can come back after we get past this record. So hopefully nobody is offended by this, but if I turn it around here, you'll see that you got a nice picture of a woman in hot pants. And here you can see is the track list. So very, very good record, very groovy record. Some serious soul by Mr. James Brown. Next we've got another James Brown record. This is a real nice one, Sex Machine. This was, it's in very good condition. I collected it a long time ago. As a matter of fact, I collected these James Brown records a long time ago when I was really a much more avid record collector. I'll explain that to you in a few minutes, actually. So this is James Brown. I think this was some kind of a Japanese import or something. You can see there's Japanese written. Here's a picture. Actually, this is kind of the wrong way. Never really understood it. I think it's because it's meant. But you can see here's the lyric pages. And then the first page here, you've got, like, for example, a lot of Japanese writing here. You got a picture of Mr. James Brown with some adoring fans. He's blowing a kiss to them. Here's the track list over here. Get Up, I Feel Like Being a Sex Machine, Brother Rap, Medley. Here you go, all of these. So a lot of his greatest hits there, like Please, 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 and It's a Man's World, as well as the more funky stuff. So, Sex Machine, James Brown, really good album, great condition, like new. There's the tracks once again. So this is just a great James Brown record. It's really something to have. Here's another one that I got during my avid record collecting days. Food for Thought, Pass the Peas, the JBs. Pass the Peas, I mean Give Me Some More. Great record, really, really funky record here. Anyway, this is a James Brown record, Food for Thought, great record, great funk record, really something to have and in a James Brown collection. Here's another one, Fred and the New JBs. Now this is sealed. It says a James Brown production right here. And over here it's Fred and the New JBs Breaking Bread. And you can see them, that there's a picture of them in there, and they're breaking some bread together. And so Fred Wesley was, I believe he was the, actually I forgot. I think Maceo Parker was the sax player. Fred Wesley. Well, anyway, it says here, all selections written by James Brown and Fred Wesley unless otherwise indicated. Here's the track list. Here's these. And then here's these. Rockin' Funky Watergate. That's pretty cool. So many times we refuse to go back and break bread with our parents, relatives, and old friends, even our high school classmates. Times are tough, the economy is rough, everybody's trying to make a dollar. Sometimes you get away from yourself. Won't you go back and break bread while we still have some to break? James Brown, Bob Both, and Fred Wesley. Anyway, you know, somehow I never opened this record. And since I got it so many years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it sealed. It was just too late. I'm actually, you know, was thinking about opening up the other day, but I was like, I'm going to leave this one sealed. Anyway, Fred and the New JBs, great, another great funk record. Here we've got Parliament. Now, for those of you into funk music, I don't really have to tell you how important Parliament was, or Funkadelic. Funkadelic and Parliament are kind of the same thing, but they're different. It started as Funkadelic, then it became Parliament Funkadelic, and then it became Parliament. It's basically George Clinton is the one of the main persons behind it. Now, the Funkadelic records are very highly collectible, and I had many of those early Funkadelic records. So when I was in college, I was buying a lot of records, and I had some collection. I had a really, really nice collection. And for one reason or the other, when I finished college, I decided to sell that collection. These records and the funk records were actually from the original collection. All these records I've been showing so far were from the original collections. I saved the James Brown. I saved this Parliament record. I got rid of the Funkadelic records. So then anyway, here we have Parliament Funkadelic versus the Placebo Syndrome. There's George Clinton on the cover. And this has the famous tune on it, Flashlight. And it's got some other funkified things on there. There you have like a picture from the Mothership Connection, which was also an album that I had. That was like a live Parliament album. Anyway, so there you go. Make My Funk the P-Funk. They had so many hits, One Nation Under a Groove. Here's another Parliament album, The Clones of Dr. Funkenstein, from the original collection. There you go. So this is a funky thing. It's kind of like a take on Dr. Frankenstein. There you have George Clinton, and here he is as Dr. Funkenstein. There's the track list. Good album there. The Clones of Dr. Funkenstein. So Bootsy was a bassist in James Brown's original band for a while. He played bass for James Brown, and then he was and also in with the Parliament Funkadelic crew, and then he sort of went out and sort of made his own records, and this is one of them. I used to have this other one, with the big sunglasses in front, and he was like a real character. I really like Bootsy, actually. So here you have Stretching Out in Bootsy's Rubber Band, and then here you have the track list here. Oh, I'd Rather Be With You is on this album. That's a good track. This is a really good album. Really enjoyed this. I remember I picked this up at Sounds one day. It was just Bootsy's Rubber Band Body Slam. Has some kind of cool artwork, although these guys look like punk rockers or something more than funk guys. But It's good artwork there. Bootsy's Rubber Band Body Slam. And it's kind of a single, but on the side too, they've got I'd Rather Be With You, which is on this album as well. Good track. This album here, the Incredible Bongo Band, Michael Viner's Incredible Bongo Band, Bongo Rock. This is actually a really seminal album when it came to the development of what later became known as disco. This album is like one of the albums that kind of like made disco happen. And it's a highly sought after album, especially amongst DJs and people like that. Here's the track list. It's hard to see. It's kind of a silver album. Dueling Bongos and Agata-da-Vida. Bongo Rock. That's such a great tune. So many people collect this album, so that therefore I'm sort of glad to have it in this collection. Incredible Bongo Band, Bongo Rock. So this album I picked up recently at a thrift store, which I noticed that in England people say charity shop. So maybe I'll start using it, because actually it's not really a thrift store. I think thrift stores are kind of like just secondhand stores, but this is a secondhand store, but it's also kind of a charity shop as well. So thrift store, charity shop, whatever is your preference, you could let me know, and then that's the thing I'll use. I think in America it's more like thrift store. So maybe I'll keep using that, but for all you English people, I may start saying, I noticed that James Griffiths uses charity shop in his videos. So anyway, this is First Choice, Hold Your Horses. What a great disco album this is. If you haven't heard of First Choice, man, these guys, every track that they made was like a great disco song. Like Hold Your Horses, Love Thang, all these other tunes as well. So this whole album is good. And if you ever get their greatest hits, which I have somewhere here in the collection on CD, let me see if I can find it. First Choice Greatest Hits. So, it's got Smarty Pants, Armed and Extremely Dangerous, Love and Happiness, which is a cover of the Al Green, Dr. Love, that one's so good, Love Thang, Hold Your Horses. Amazing disco group. Really sort of perhaps underrated and should be really known more than they are. I mean, maybe they are already known amongst disco fanatics. So that is a great thing. Here we've got Bohannon. So Bohannon, a little bit like James Brown, was like sort of a proto-disco person. He was, I think he played on Motown Records and then went on his own. I'm not really sure about that, actually. So, but anyway, had a sound that really sort of bridged from sort of R&B and funk into disco. So we've got Hamilton Bohannon, Insides Out, right there. Okay, so that was a seminal sort of disco person. We've got Bohannon, Keep On Dancin', also by the same person. You have this girl getting down on the cover. So here's the Rap On Mr. DJ. That's funny. This came out, I think, before Rap came out. So Keep On Dancing, have a good... So all these records here, Bohannon, Keep On Dancing, sort of early proto-disco. So here's a record that I picked up in the thrift/charity shop. It's James Brown, Gravity. So basically, it's sort of one of James Brown later records, during the MTV generation. He's had a little bit of a comeback there. Here he's sort of beaming us a smile, looking good and rather dapper there. And, you know, so here's the track list. Gravity, Let's Get Personal, How Do You Stop? Dan Hartman's on this album. Steve Winwood is on this album. That's interesting. Living in America, I think that was the single and the hit from this album. And he made a video about that. And there you have James Brown on the back, dressed up. Godfather of Soul over there. So, produced by Dan Hartman. He was big in the disco field, so James Brown, Gravity. Here's a cool cover. Disco Baby, Van McCoy. So you got a woman really getting down there. So there you go. And there she is on the back. Here's the track list. Okay. Picked this one up at a charity shop, the Sal Soul Orchestra, Greatest Disco Hits. They were a big band during the disco era. Here's the track list. There's a picture of the Sal Soul Orchestra. The Crusaders, Rhapsody and Blues. I really like the Crusaders. You know, that stuff that they did with, now I can't forget her name, the vocalist. You know, like Street Life and, but anyway, there's the band. It has a real nice song. These guys were very good musicians. They were almost jazz musicians. But I don't know if you want to categorize this under maybe smooth jazz, but it has sort of a R&B disco feel to it. So it's kind of a little bit of a cross over. There's the tracks. Picked this up at a thrift store. The Chi-Lites, Half a Love. I mean, actually, I haven't listened to this, but since it was kind of like, you know, sort of a related, I just stuck it in this stack. So one day I walked into the charity shop. I think I'll use thrift and charity interchangeably from now on because I kind of like that charity shop. But anyway, I once walked into like a charity shop and somebody had like dumped a whole pack of a whole suitcase of sealed records there. And so I haven't opened them. I don't know, when I get sealed records these days from charity shops, I kind of don't really like to open them. But, you know, who knows, maybe I will open this at some point. Music from and inspired by Shaft. So it's got all these things. This is actually more recent artists. So that's pretty cool. I think this would be a pretty cool record to listen to. There's Samuel Jackson on the cover. So that's pretty cool. So picked this one up at a thrift store. Vicki Sue Robinson. So she had that hit, Turn the Beat Around. And this was, I think, her follow-up album to that. And, you know, it's actually just a good record, you know. Actually, what's interesting is that, so this is before drum machines and everything, so it's a real band in there. As a matter of fact, you sort of see the picture of the band sort of on the inside. Let me pull it out here. Hold on. There's the band. And there's Vicki Sue. There's another picture of the band hanging out in New York somewhere. So basically, you've got, I'm not going to bother putting it back, so I'll put it over here. So basically, it's just sort of like a good record, and you know, really kind of grooves. There's some nice hooks in there. Here we've got the Golden Age of Black Music, 1970, 1975. It's got all these artists on it. And all these tracks. Nice collection of tracks, I must say. So, sort of R&B and a little bit of soul in there as well. Here's kind of an early disco record, Bionic Boogie, by Greg Diamond. And if you like disco, you'll like this album, Hot Butterfly. It actually has lyrics, vocals by, what's his name again? Luther Vandross on it, who was like a great vocalist. So he sang on this. Here's the track list. Side A, Hot Butterfly. Chains, that's a classic disco song. Awesome, awesome song. And I think that basically, this is sort of like a really good old disco song from the height of disco, which was probably around 1977, 78, 79, somewhere in there. Here you've got Love Unlimited. This is, what's his name's group? He produced these three singers. Not Lou Rawls, but you know who I'm talking about. Barry White, Love Unlimited. So Love's Theme, all of these things over here. This was a big record and sort of a disco record, early disco record, maybe even considered proto-disco, but right before the real height of disco. Here you have the queen of disco, Donna Summer, Four Seasons of Love. You've got Spring Affair, Summer Affair, Autumn Changes, Winter Melody, Spring Reprise, and of course this was produced by Giorgio Moroder, one of the pioneers of using electronic sequencers and synthesizers. I picked up these two albums actually by Ashford and Simpson. These guys were like songwriters extraordinaire during the disco era. Found a Cure, you've probably heard that song before because that's a great sort of disco song there. And so here you've got Nick Ashford and, forgot her name again, Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Yeah, there's the track list. It's a good album. I listened to it. I liked almost every song. They were very good songwriters, and they wrote a lot of classic songs. So I have this album by them. I also have this album by them, Ashford and Simpson, Send It. Here's the track list. Another Ashford and Simpson album. This is a live Earth, Wind and Fire album. These guys were kind of considered funk. I think that Parliament Funkadelic was kind of maybe a little bit more of the extreme funk sound. Anyway, so here you've got sort of a live pictures, because this is a live album. So you've got, there's the guy who started Earth, Wind and Fire. And some of their stuff really rocks. As far as funk music is concerned. What is it again? It's on the next album, actually. Everybody had this album, Earth, Wind and Fire, the best of. It's a gatefold, I believe. Got a whole bunch of pictures of the band and stuff there. And the tracks are written on the sleeve. Oh no, the tracks here are on the bottom as well. So we got, Shining Star, that was real funk, as well as other ones. So here you have all the... They covered a Beatles song, Gotta Get You Into My Life. Sing a Song, Shining Star, Fantasy. So very commercial but very funk band, so they belong in this collection here. War, Greatest Hits. These guys, if you remember, I actually showed on a vinyl haul video a War Platinum Jazz record, but I also have this record, War Greatest Hits. This had Eric Burdon from the Animals in the band. He didn't really, advertise it, but that's what's really cool about here. Here you've got like some of the tracks on there. And then more tracks. So it's kind of like Eric Burdon's in there. Now he's more like considered rock, but when he joined these guys, they were sort of more like funk or R&B type of band, so it's kind of really, whether you put it in a rock section or a funk section, it's hard to say. It's kind of like funk rock, really, is what it is. So thus, it's in this stack. This was another one of those sealed records from that suitcase of sealed records. This artist is a rapper, and so it's sealed. But I did actually listen to this on YouTube once, and it's pretty good actually. It's pretty good. I'm not like a big rap fan, but I thought this was pretty good. But I think it's good actually. I liked it. She has a lot of spunk to her. I like spunky type of sassy kind of people. This was also in that stack of records. Sealed. This is also sealed. Little Kim. Oh, and it has Grace Jones on it. That's pretty cool. Here's the tracks. So yeah. Da Brat and Little Kim. And then here's a recent pickup I just did like last week, The Motown Story. So this is has 58 hits that made Motown history. Live in-person interviews with the artists that recorded them. Presented in a 5-volume set. So this is a pretty nice thing to have, The Motown Story. So, and the thing is that these records, if you look at these records here, okay, they're like unplayed. I don't know if you could see that, but you can see some shimmering vinyl there. They're a little dusty, but they're really not one scratch. They just need to be like wiped with a record cleaner. There, so this has so many classic Motown hits on it that it's like unbelievable. If we turn it around, we'll see. I don't know, it's hard to see. Intro by Berry Gordy, Money, That's What I Want. The Beatles, of course, famously covered that. Mr. Postman, another Beatles cover. Playboy, Stubborn Kind of Fellow, You've Really Got a Hold on Me. Pride and Joy, just Love Is Like a Heat Wave. Martha and the Vandellas. So many. Where Did Our Love Go? Dancing in the Street, which is, of course, covered by David Bowie and Mick Jagger. Baby, I Need Your Loving. How Sweet It Is, of course, covered by many people, including, what's his name again? James, Baby James, Sweet Baby James. Can't remember, for some reason his name's not coming into my head right now. My Girl, Stop in the whatever. So here we go. So many tracks of my tears. Uptight, Everything Is All Right. My World Is Empty Without You. Ain't Too Proud to Beg, of course, covered by the Rolling Stones on It's Only Rock and Roll. What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. You Keep Me Hanging On. Standing in the Shadows of Love. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Heard It Through the Grapevine, of course. Big, big hit. I Wish It Would Rain, For Once in My Life. Michael Jackson, I Want You Back. So, anyway, that's a great collection of Motown right here. Awesome, awesome collection of Motown. Anyway, so that just about does it for my funk, soul, disco, R&B, a little bit of rap in there, records. Some of them I've collected a long time ago. Some of them are recently collected. Some of them I got from thrift/charity shops. You can choose whichever name you like the best. And that's about it. So I hope you like this particular collection. As I said, there's a lot missing from it that I used to have, but that's fine. Like I said, I actually really kind of liked my new record collection. I actually kind of like it better because there's a lot more interesting stuff in it. I do. So anyway, so then there's this one. There's this Body Slam, which has a lot of cool art in it. Clones of Dr. Funkenstein, Parliament, JBs. And finally, we'll end up with where we started with Hot Pants. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this stack of records. Take care of yourself. So long.